The story of Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, is one of ruthless ambition, tactical genius, and unparalleled violence. His rise to power marked the birth of one of the most powerful and feared criminal organizations in Mexico, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel CJNG. The CJNG, under El Mencho's leadership, became notorious for their violent tactics, sophisticated drug trafficking operations, and their iron grip on Mexico's criminal underworld. The early life of El Mencho. Born in 1966 in the rural town of Sinaloa Moreno in Michoacán, Mexico, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes grew up in poverty, a factor that would shape his later ambition for power and wealth. As a young man, El Mencho sought opportunities to escape the hardships of his environment. In the early 1980s, he migrated to the United States, settling in California. It was here that El Mencho's involvement in the world of crime began, starting with low-level drug trafficking. During his time in the United States, El Mencho was arrested on multiple occasions for heroin trafficking and firearm offenses, spending several years in American prisons before being deported back to Mexico in the early 1990s. It was upon his return to Mexico that El Mencho's ambitions began to take shape. Determined to rise within the ranks of organized crime, he aligned himself with Armando Valencia Cornelio, the leader of the Mencho cartel, one of Mexico's established drug trafficking organizations at the time. From Mencho to CJNG, the rise of a new cartel. The Mencho cartel provided El Mencho with his initial foothold in Mexico's criminal landscape. However, the cartel's eventual downfall would create a power vacuum that El Mencho was quick to exploit. In 2003, after the arrest of Armando Valencia, the Mencho cartel began to fracture. Rival factions within the organization, hungry for power, began to turn on each other in a bloody internal conflict. This fragmentation provided fertile ground for El Mencho's emergence as a leader. Recognizing an opportunity to seize control, El Mencho gathered loyal followers and formed the Jalisco New Generation Cartel CJNG in the late 2000s. He set his sights on rebuilding and expanding the remnants of the Mencho cartel, forging the CJNG into a highly organized, disciplined, and ruthless criminal empire. Under his leadership, the CJNG would go on to challenge Mexico's most powerful cartels, including Los Zetas, the Sinaloa cartel, and La Familia Michoacana. El Mencho's leadership style, a mix of brutality and strategy. El Mencho's rise was marked by his strategic approach to leadership. Unlike many cartel leaders who relied solely on violence and intimidation, El Mencho combined ruthlessness with business acumen. He understood the importance of expanding CJNG's operations beyond drug trafficking. Under his direction, the CJNG diversified into various criminal activities, including extortion, kidnapping, arms smuggling, and human trafficking. However, violence remained one of his most effective tools. El Mencho's CJNG quickly gained a reputation for their extreme brutality. One of their most infamous tactics was the use of public executions and massacres to intimidate rivals and authorities alike. In 2011, the CJNG made headlines with the mass killing of 35 members of the Zetas cartel, whose bodies were dumped in Veracruz as a public display of power. This act of violence solidified the CJNG's position as a formidable player in Mexico's drug war. Under El Mencho's command, the CJNG became synonymous with large-scale violence. His willingness to engage in open confrontations with Mexican authorities set him apart from other cartel leaders. In 2015, El Mencho's forces shot down a Mexican military helicopter in Jalisco, killing several soldiers and demonstrating their capability to challenge even the most powerful institutions in the country. Expanding influence, CJNG's rise to power. One of El Mencho's key strategies in building the CJNG into a dominant cartel was his focus on expanding their international reach. As the CJNG grew in power, El Mencho sought to control key drug trafficking routes not only within Mexico but also across borders. The cartel quickly established connections with criminal organizations in South America, allowing them to dominate the cocaine trade. They also expanded their influence into the United States, Europe, and Asia, becoming a major player in the global drug trade. Under El Mencho's leadership, the CJNG became one of the largest producers and traffickers of methamphetamine. Their ability to produce high-quality meth in large quantities helped them gain significant control over the drug markets in the US and beyond. This international expansion was a testament to El Mencho's business acumen and his ability to forge strategic alliances with other criminal organizations. El Mencho's evasion and legacy. Despite his notoriety and the extensive efforts of Mexican and US authorities to capture him, El Mencho remains one of the most elusive figures in the world of organized crime. His ability to evade capture for over a decade is a testament to his intelligence and the intricate network of protection he has built around himself. Authorities have come close to apprehending him on several occasions, but El Mencho has always managed to slip away. His stronghold in Jalisco, as well as his influence over local police forces and government officials, has allowed him to maintain a level of security that few cartel leaders can achieve. The CJNG's control over rural areas and drug-producing regions has further cemented El Mencho's ability to operate with impunity. El Mencho's leadership has also been defined by his efforts to shield his family from the spotlight. While his son, Ruben Oseguera Gonzalez, known as El Menchito, was arrested in 2015 and is currently facing charges in the U.S., El Mencho himself has largely remained out of public view. His wife, Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia, was arrested in 2018, but El Mencho's grip on the cartel has not weakened. He has carefully cultivated an image of power and control, ensuring that the SNIN continues to grow even in his absence. The future of the SING and El Mencho's influence. As of today, the SING remains one of the most powerful and violent criminal organizations in Mexico. Their reach extends across the globe, and their influence in Mexico's drug war shows no signs of waning. El Mencho's leadership has been instrumental in the cartel's success, and his legacy will undoubtedly leave a lasting impact on the world of organized crime. While authorities continue to pursue him, El Mencho's ability to adapt, evade, and outmaneuver both his rivals and law enforcement has kept him at the top of Mexico's criminal hierarchy. The rise of the SING under his leadership has reshaped the dynamics of the drug trade, and El Mencho's influence continues to cast a long shadow over Mexico's ongoing struggle with organized crime. Conclusion. El Mencho's rise from a small-town criminal to the leader of one of the most violent and powerful cartels in Mexico is a story of ambition, brutality, and strategy. His leadership has not only transformed the SNIN into a global criminal powerhouse, but also redefined the way cartels operate in the 21st century. As long as El Mencho remains at large, his influence will continue to be felt across Mexico and beyond, and the CJNG will remain a force to be reckoned with.